James Mitchell stood at the window of his downtown office, watching the city below. At 42, he had built an empire from nothing. His technology company had made him wealthy beyond measure. But wealth, he had learned, couldn't buy what he truly needed. His twin daughters, Emma and Lily, were 6 years old now. Blonde curls, bright eyes, and hearts full of questions about the mother they barely remembered. Sarah had passed away 3 years ago, and James had buried himself in work, trying to fill the emptiness. But lately, he'd been noticing something. His daughters needed more than just a father. They needed warmth, laughter, and the gentle presence he couldn't quite provide on his own. His sister Margaret had suggested the blind date. "Just coffee, James," she'd said over the phone last week. "Her name is Caroline. She's kind. She works at the community center. Just meet her. No pressure." James had agreed, though he wasn't sure why. Perhaps it was the way Emma had asked him last Tuesday if mommies came back from heaven, or the way Lily had been drawing pictures of families with a mother figure, always in soft colors. That Saturday morning, James made a decision. He dressed simply, a white button-down shirt and dark jeans. Nothing expensive, nothing that screamed success. He wanted to be seen for who he was, not what he owned. "Girls," he called to Emma and Lily, "we're going on an adventure today." They appeared in matching pink dresses, their faces bright with excitement. Emma clutched her stuffed bunny, a constant companion since her mother's passing. Lily held a small book about butterflies. "Where are we going, Daddy?" Emma asked. "To meet a new friend," James said, kneeling to their level. "And I need you both to do something special for me. Can you pretend that we're just regular people today? Not talk about our big house or fancy things?" Lily tilted her head, curious. "Like playing pretend?" "Exactly like that, sweetheart." The coffee shop Margaret had chosen was modest. Warm wood tables, the scent of fresh pastries, sunlight streaming through tall windows. James spotted Caroline immediately. She was standing near the entrance, blonde hair falling in soft waves past her shoulders, wearing a white blouse and a pale mint skirt. There was something graceful about the way she carried herself. "Caroline?" James approached with the girls holding each hand. She turned, and her smile was genuine. "You must be James, and these beautiful girls." "I'm Emma," his daughter announced. "And this is Lily. She's shy." Lily peeked from behind her father's leg, then gave a small wave. "I'm so glad to meet you all," Caroline said, and James noticed she knelt down to the girl's height. "I love your dresses. Pink is my favorite color." They found a table by the window. As they settled in, James noticed how Caroline's attention kept drifting to the girls, asking them gentle questions about their stuffed animals and favorite books. There was no pretense in her manner, no forced cheerfulness, just authentic interest. "So, James," Caroline said after they'd ordered, "coffee for the adults, hot chocolate for the girls. Margaret tells me you work in the city?" "I do," James said carefully. "Mostly desk work, technology stuff. Nothing too exciting." He felt a twinge of guilt at the partial truth, but he needed to know her heart. "That's nice. Steady work is important." Caroline stirred her coffee thoughtfully. "I work at the Riverside Community Center. We run programs for families, after-school care, that sort of thing. It doesn't pay much, but it fills the heart." Emma perked up. "Do you have toys there?" "We do, and books, and art supplies. Maybe you could visit sometime." Lily had been quiet, but now she spoke softly. "Do you read stories?" "I love reading stories," Caroline said warmly. "What's your favorite?" As Lily launched into an explanation about butterflies and gardens, James watched Caroline's face. She listened with complete attention, as if this 6-year-old's words were the most important thing in the world. The conversation flowed naturally. Caroline spoke about her work with single parents, helping them find resources and community. She mentioned her small apartment, how she'd been saving up to visit her elderly mother across the state. She asked about the girls' interests, their school, what made them laugh. Their mother, James found himself saying, the words coming easier than expected. She passed away 3 years ago. Cancer, it's been. Just the three of us since then. Caroline's eyes softened with understanding. I'm so sorry. That must have been incredibly difficult. Some days are harder than others, James admitted. I try to be both parents, but I know I fall short sometimes. I think, Caroline said gently, that showing up every day and trying is what matters most. Your daughters clearly adore you. Emma had chocolate on her nose. Lily was drawing on a napkin with a crayon the waitress had brought. The moment felt ordinary and perfect all at once. Can I tell you something? Caroline leaned forward slightly. Margaret mentioned you might be worried about circumstances, financial things. But I need you to know that's not what matters to me. I grew up without much. My father worked construction, my mother cleaned houses. They taught me that character is what counts, how you treat people, whether you show up when life gets hard. James felt something shift in his chest. That's a rare perspective. Maybe. But I've seen enough in my work to know that money doesn't guarantee happiness. Some of the wealthiest families I've worked with are the most broken, and some of the poorest have the richest hearts. Emma tugged on Caroline's sleeve. Do you like parks? I love parks. Daddy takes us to the park on Sundays. You could come with us. James saw Caroline's expression, surprise, delight, and something that looked like hope. I would love that if your daddy says it's okay. Please, Daddy, Lily added, her voice rare as that was with strangers. I think that sounds wonderful, James said. They talked for another hour. Caroline shared stories from her childhood, growing up in a small town where everyone knew everyone. James found himself opening up about his own struggles, the loneliness of raising daughters alone, the fear that he wasn't enough. You know what I see? Caroline said, watching Emma and Lily play rock, paper, scissors at the table. I see two girls who are loved, who feel safe enough to be themselves. That doesn't happen by accident. As they prepared to leave, Emma hugged Caroline's legs spontaneously. I like you, she declared. You smell like flowers and you listen good. Caroline laughed, a sound like wind chimes. I like you too, sweetheart, both of you. Outside the coffee shop, James walked them to Caroline's modest sedan. He made a decision. Caroline, I need to be honest with you about something. She turned, concern flickering across her face. I wasn't entirely truthful earlier. About my work, I own a technology company, Mitchell Technologies. I'm the CEO. We have considerable resources. He watched her face carefully, expecting the shift he'd seen so many times before, the subtle recalculation, the changed expression. Instead, Caroline was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, soft and knowing. Did you think that would change how I see you? It usually does. James. She stepped closer. In the past 2 hours, One evening, after the girls had fallen asleep, James and Caroline sat on his back porch watching fireflies dance in the garden. Why me? He asked softly. You could have anyone. Someone without complications, without the baggage of loss and 2 young children. Caroline was quiet for a moment, watching the lights flicker in the darkness. My grandmother used to say that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone whose imperfections you can hold gently. James, you're a good man raising 2 beautiful souls. That's not baggage. That's treasure. Even though I lied at first. About who I was? You didn't lie. You just wanted to be seen for your heart instead of your bank account. I understand that. And honestly, it showed me something important. It showed me that you value authentic connection over everything else. James reached for her hand. They already love you, you know. Emma told me yesterday that you give the best hugs. And Lily asked if you'd come to her school art show next week. I wouldn't miss it, Caroline said simply. 3 months later, on a crisp autumn day, James took Caroline to the cemetery where Sarah rested. The girls had asked to bring flowers. Emma and Lily stood solemnly, placing daisies on their mother's grave. I wanted to tell her about you, James explained to Caroline. It felt important. Caroline squeezed his hand. I'm not here to replace her. I hope you know that. She'll always be their mother, I know. But she would have wanted them to have someone kind in their lives, someone who sees them for who they are. Emma looked up at them both. Mommy's watching from heaven, she said matter-of-factly. She told me in a dream that it's okay to love Caroline, too. Later, as they walked back to the car, Lily slipped her small hand into Caroline's. It was a simple gesture, but it meant everything. That Christmas, in James's living room decorated simply by choice rather than necessity, Caroline sat surrounded by the people who had become her family. Emma and Lily wore matching red dresses, presenting her with drawings they'd made. This is our family, Emma explained, pointing to the 4 stick figures holding hands. James looked at Caroline, saw tears in her eyes, and knew he'd found something precious. Not because of wealth or circumstance, but because sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need when we stop pretending to be anything other than ourselves. Thank you, he whispered to her later, as the girls played with their new toys. For what? For seeing us? The real us. Caroline smiled, that warm expression that had captured his heart that first day in the coffee shop. That's what love does, James. It sees. It accepts. It stays. And in the gentle warmth of that moment, surrounded by the laughter of 2 little girls who had found joy again, James understood that the best things in life were never bought. They were given freely by hearts brave enough to see beyond surfaces to the truth underneath. The truth was simple. Kindness recognizes kindness. And love, real love, doesn't need pretense. It just needs presence, patience, and the courage to be authentic. In that lesson, there was everything worth knowing.